in a kind of unique way. And I'm going to invite a couple of our partners up to talk about Charlie McLane. And I think it's an important way to start our conference because this is the history, this is the legacy, and this is why Q exists today, our contributions from people like Charlie. So I'm going to invite Doug Hessinger up. He has been a long-time contributor, former board member, past chair, I believe, of the Q organization, and he worked with Charlie for quite a while. So he's going to kick things off, and then we're going to pass it to Andy and Michael to share a few words about Charlie. Doug?
Thank you. Appreciate it. So as noted, it's good to be back together again, and this is our 45th anniversary year as an organization. So we want to take time to mention and show appreciation and recognition for an individual who had a huge contribution and a long service with Q, Charlie McLane. Unfortunately, Charlie passed away last May after an extended illness. With COVID, we didn't get a chance to get together as much in the recent years, so we didn't get to see him as often. His pedigree was unique. He was a labor attorney, human resources executive, nonprofit director, event planner, and probably one of the most highly networked individuals in the industry of employee labor relations that I've ever known. He knew everybody. His experience included being an attorney with the United States Army and the JAG Corps, a board agent with the National Labor Relations Board, a long distinguished career in HR, leading the function for Holiday Inn La Quinta as our vice president. He joined Q in their 80s, general member just like those of us here. Sorry for that. Was on the board of directors for multiple terms, served as board chair, and after he retired from private industry, became the executive director of this organization for 14 years. In 2016, I believe it was, he became 14, and then became director emeritus. All told, he was associated with Q for over 30 years in some form or fashion, and made a tremendous impact. He cultivated this organization into the premier group that it is today, dedicated to positive employee relations and remaining union-free. He cultivated the group in participation of the labor attorneys and the consultants, the finest group in the world today, serving us as members. His wealth of knowledge was one of his hallmarks, but also was his gregarious nature and his laugh. Those of us with the privilege of knowing him will never forget his laugh. He also had a love, an enduring love for his wife Kathy, his children, Chip and Rebecca, their family, and his grandchildren. His other enduring passion was his alma mater, the University of Tennessee. And Charlie, I hope you had a grand view of your team finally beating Bama last week.
Well, I have to echo what Brett said. It is great to see a group like this, such a large group back together at a Q conference. It's really been a while. I was asked to say a few words about Charlie from the perspective of the Labor Lawyers Advisory Committee, the LLAC, which I currently chair. And Charlie clearly saw the LLAC as an important component of Q. Being a labor lawyer himself, as well as a human resources professional, he understood the importance of Q members staying on top of legal developments that affect the field. In a sense, Charlie understood that you can't be effective in this business unless you understood the rules. As Q Executive Director, he promoted the role of the LLAC in Q. He had a fine sense of how to use our expertise and experience to the best advantage of Q. Many of our current members, including myself, I joined in 2007, had the pleasure of personally knowing Charlie and working with him while he was the Q Executive Director. And I want to quote one of our members who I think described him very accurately. He said, "Charlie was the consummate gentleman in the finest sense, always polite, well-spoken, with a great laugh and a story to tell. Everyone else could take the credit, while he just smiled in the background." I can tell you he was a great person and a very effective Q leader, and we in the Lawyers Committee honor his memory as a great colleague and friend. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Michael Vandervoort, and I had the genuine privilege of succeeding the big boots that Charlie left behind when he retired from Q in 2014. I knew Charlie for a few years as a member before I became the director, and he was genuinely, as Andy said, he's genuinely one of the nicest people that you would ever meet. He was also a great leader for Q. I didn't know I was doing this morning. There's three components to the Q membership. There's the membership, which when we put this memorial together, Doug represented the membership. Andy's with the Labor Lawyers Advisory Council, and Steve Wardrop, who has been to something like 32 Q events and knew Charlie and Kathy very well in their personal lives, was supposed to be doing this particular segment. Steve unfortunately couldn't make it because of some circumstances. So I wanted to give a nod to Steve because I know he's hoping that this goes well. Another pair of big boots to fill. But I'll just say this: Charlie was, for 14 years and probably a lot longer than that, the heart and soul of Q. He held the organization together. He built a unique, unique event that allows people and companies like ours to come together in a way unlike any organization I've seen. And when I took over, I had to honor that legacy and kind of carry it forward. It was a big challenge. The last time I saw Charlie, and I believe the last time he attended a Q event, was at the 40th anniversary of Q in Newport Beach in 2017. And he and his wife were there, Kathy, and also another former director, Bob Kinsella, and his wife. So these are people that we want to honor as we move forward towards 50 years and beyond, okay? So I'll just say, I miss Charlie. He was a mentor to me when I took over. I could call him anytime. He was the historian of Q, and now, kind of against my will, unfortunately, I find myself thrust into that role. So I'm going to do my best to honor his memory by helping out, and I just would hope that all of us could, even if you didn't know him, understand that we wouldn't be sitting here today without a lot of work on Charlie's part. And those are my remarks that I didn't have a chance to prepare because I was drinking coffee while Doug asked me to do this. So what we do have, thanks to one of our CCAC members, is a nice little slideshow memorial of Charlie and some of the happy times. So I'm gonna hit the button and see if this thing works. But otherwise, rest well, Charlie, and thanks for everything you did for Q.
Thank you to our speakers. As Michael so eloquently said, it's important to remember the legacy and the past as we think about the future. And Charlie really set up the foundation that is the Q conference. So as we think about the next couple of days, let's keep him and his family in our thoughts as we network, connect with each other, create those relationships. And for us who are new to the organization, or for us who have been here for a while, the relationships and those connections can last a lifetime. So that's what we're hoping to foster.